Oh boy. Oh boy. Do you know what we're going to do today, guys? I hope and I pray that my is laggy and then we can diagnose NDI problems today. Hopefully. If we can be lucky. The dream. Okay.
How do I pray?
You make a wish and lift the Buddha.
A hawk too. The group chat's gonna get me for this. You gotta hawk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You gotta hawk to her and spit on that thing. You have to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You gotta hawk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to walk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to walk to her and spit on that thing, alright? You've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You got to hawk to her and spit on the thing. Yo, you got to hawk to her, man. Spit on that thing. Or you've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You have to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You've got to hawk to her and spit on that thing. You have to hawk to her and spit on it.
Okay. There you go. I still don't think I've seen the original. Oh my god. Hello. Is it ADHD drug? Is it drug time? Wait, were we lagging through that?
Earlier this year, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I already knew that there was a drug shortage problem and that it would be a little bit challenging, but what I experienced in seeking treatment was, and is, objectively fucked up. Like, if I were just telling you what I'm about to tell you in this video without showing you the evidence, you would probably think that I was a drug addict or a crazy person off of his meds. If you live outside of the United States, just about everything happening in this video is going to seem like a dystopian science.
Hold on. Does this guy have the exact same vocal like cadence and pattern and rhythm and diction as the one of the Vlog brothers? Is it Hank? The YouTuber voice? Not just the YouTuber voice. Fuck, what's the guy's name? No, not this. Wait, is it this one or is it the other one? Who's the other one?
Good morning, Hank. It's Tuesday. Woke up 30,000 feet above the Irish Sea and started reading a great book about tuberculosis called Breathless, then landed in London. Train was cancelled, so I caught a cab into the city. I was pretty tired, but looking forward to the magic of AFC Wimbledon football, specifically an away game against Bromley. That's right, Hank. Others may visit England to go to...
Evidence, you would probably think that I was a drug addict or a crazy person off of his meds. If you live outside of the United States, just about everything happening in this video is going to seem like a dystopian science fiction film, but
what is it? Why? What is it?
Stratford-upon-Avon and see Shakespeare's second best bet or whatever, or they marvel at castles 5 times older than my country, etc.
United States, just about everything happening in this video is going to seem like a dystopian science fiction film, but worse yet, a lot of my viewers in the United States will feel validated by this video. Because this is a dumpster fire that is all too...
I think a lot of it is rhythmic. That's what it is. There's a mouth-shaped thing too. Sure, maybe, yeah. I think if you have the exact same rhythm, it's a manner of speaking. It's not bad or good. It's just a thing. But when you're going to say a thing and then you're going to make it shit, hold on. I don't even know what to talk about. If you're trying to make it so that there is the exact same amount of space between every single word, then that means that you're going to have that type of diction. They both do it. They both speak like that.
Shakespeare's second best bet or whatever, or they marvel at castles 5 times
He's changed
older
it up
than football, specifically an away game against Bromley.
Nope.
That's right, Hank. Others may visit England to go to Stratford-upon-Avon and see Shakespeare's second best bet.
Others may visit England to go to see the Stratford, as opposed to the... Okay. This is... Not many people do this. He got it from him, or they went to the same person, and he's spreading this, and it's affecting people on YouTube. Never mind. Okay, sorry. I just thought it was... Okay. Anyway.
The United States will feel validated by this video because this is a dumpster fire that is all too familiar to them. Today we're going to go down a deep rabbit hole about what ADHD is, why so many people are being diagnosed with it, the incredibly stupid reasons why it's so difficult to obtain your prescribed medications. We're gonna put on our investor pants and listen to a drug company CEO brag about how great their year has been as a result of the drug shortage. And I'm gonna take you on a little shopping trip so we could see how hundreds of thousands of people are now buying ADHD drugs on the black market as a result.
The black market.
If you were to just observe my professional output as a musician, a researcher, a content creator, a business co-founder, you would not think that I had a problem with concentrating or completing tasks, which is what most people imagine when they think about ADHD. And that's why I resisted participating in a test or diagnosis for over a decade, despite multiple therapists and doctors insisting that I do. But if you called me today just to ask me how I was doing or say hi, or if you looked at my work desktop, or if you rescheduled dinner with me to an hour later, you'd notice by my behavior that things weren't quite ideal. To a lot of people, I would seem pretty intense, high-strung, and maybe even unreasonable. But in reality, I'm just busy, and I'm mentally unable to improvise with sudden changes. And I just didn't realize how debilitating that actually was until I received effective treatment. I took a prescription stimulant and felt calmer. When I normally needed to withdraw from everything and everyone to stay focused, I now felt like I just flowed and coexisted with others. This is why ADHD is so much easier to identify.
Putting a network monitor on screen is just going to cause people to misdiagnose issues. Drops in that aren't going to be anything more than B-frames fluctuating in size based on how much of the screen is changing. The reason why I have this on screen is because if it starts to lag, I can go back and look and just ensure that that's what was causing it. It's something to do with the software on my new computer. If it's still happening. I don't know if it is or not. I don't even know if I changed anything yesterday. I think I did. I tweaked a few things, but I don't we'll see if it happens again today.
In children than it is in adults. Kids are pretty simple. They don't have the learned neuronal connections or baggage that we have as adults. And even as an adult, a solid clinical ADHD diagnosis takes into account your behavior and grades from when you were a child. In most cases, those ADHD symptoms should have been prevalent very early on, as it is believed that as many as 90% of people with ADHD inherited the disorder from their parents.
What is the deal with so many children having ADHD and autism these days?
There's actually not thought to have been an increase in ADHD symptoms in the population. It's just that in the last 30 years, we started understanding a whole lot more about the frontal lobe of the brain and things like the neurological roles of executive function. In fact, I just found a couple different studies that strongly suggest a lower prevalence of both ADHD and autism diagnoses in lower income areas, which kind of reinforces the link between prevalence and healthcare quality. There are still a lot of people out there that think that ADHD is not a real disorder. If you believe that, let me put that belief to rest right now. It is proven to be predominantly hereditary. It can be observed and even predicted with MRI imaging of the brain. And ultimately, it's a disorder that is caused by a shortage of dopamine in the brain, which makes a person more hungry for dopamine, or their rewards
Who cares?
are more powerful. Adderall simply increases levels of dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine in your brain. And it makes your brain hold on to the dopamine a little bit longer. And if a person without ADHD were to take my prescription, they might feel overstimulated or possibly even euphoric. Meanwhile, I just feel normal, calm, and collected. And that's what really surprised me and ultimately sold me on my diagnosis. I expected Adderall to make me feel cracked out, but it made me realize that I feel cracked out by default when I'm not taking it. And I'm not alone here. Over 8.2 million people in America have ADHD, or about 5% of the population. And many of them, most of them, are having trouble receiving treatment right now, and we're about to dive into that. But first, we need to understand how incredibly dangerous not being treated is. Let's start with the most direct and horrifying statistic that you're going to hear in this video. In a study published earlier this year, it was found that people receiving treatment for ADHD in the form of medication had a 19% lower risk of death than those who are not being treated. And this is a really legit study tracking hundreds of thousands of people in each group over a period of 2 years. Here's some more not at all fun facts. Adults with ADHD who are not treated as children suffer from anxiety, depression, and physical ailments 30% more than adults without ADHD do. Adolescents with ADHD who are left untreated are twice as likely to abuse alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, and unprescribed drugs such as stimulants than adolescents who are adequately treated and prescribed those stimulants. Young adults with ADHD who are not receiving medication as treatment are 9 times more likely to have or cause an unwanted pregnancy. Young drivers with untreated ADHD have 3 times more motor vehicle crashes than average and are statistically at a higher risk of destroying their vehicle than an adult who is legally drunk. Then when you mix in a dozen or so studies strongly suggesting higher suicide and homicide risk, it gets pretty easy to say that having untreated ADHD is incredibly dangerous. And that's on top of studies showing that untreated ADHD results in poor job performance, poor school performance, higher divorce rates, and so on. So why the f is it so hard to get treatment right now? So as mentioned earlier, ADHD diagnoses have been rising steadily in the last few decades, and this is the case in Europe as well as North America. And interestingly enough, this rise is mostly in adults. In contrast, the relative amount of children taking stimulants has actually not changed all that much in the last 20 years. But in 2022, the DEA, as in the same group...
Wait, is that true?
mostly in adults. In contrast, the relative amount of children... So as mentioned earlier, ADHD diagnoses have been rising steadily in the last few decades, and this is the case in Europe as well as North America. And interestingly enough, this rise is mostly in adults. In contrast, the relative amount of children taking stimulants has actually not changed all that much in the last 20 years.
Oh, he doesn't show a graph for children. Okay.
But in 2022, the DEA, as in the same group that collaborates with and empowers Mexican drug cartels, decided that there was a massive amount of ADHD stimulant abuse that originated during the pandemic when they had allowed controlled substances to be prescribed via telehealth. And there's actually no evidence to support this, like at all. When it came to sketchy online doctors prescribing stimulants without a proper diagnosis, that never accounted for more than 1% of stimulant prescriptions. Now, of course, college students taking Adderall recreationally to help them stay awake and study is still a problem, but it doesn't take a genius to come to the conclusion that maybe making some changes to reduce the need to abuse stimulants will be more effective than taking the treatment away from a complete...
Do you feel like we have a good way to measure if someone has ADHD? The testing seems rather ambiguous, and where is the medical field at on that? I mean, you compare it to averages and norms. I mean, it depends on how you stack up to your classmates and everything else. I imagine it's probably fairly easy to figure it out, but once you're in the online, it makes it a lot harder because you can get communities full of people that might have similar symptoms or proclivities or whatever. Then now it seems like a way more overwhelming thing. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I'm not up to full on the. Well, no, I did do some reading on the diagnostic thing because somebody had posted once on my subreddit that you can do a full panel diagnostic test for ADHD, but apparently going through like the entire full panel stuff, you're more likely to miss stuff than just going off of the diagnostic criteria with an interview. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I would say that it's hard because I feel like if you're very close to being an edge case, it might be harder to tell. But I feel like if you're super far into it, I feel like it should be obvious.
Completely unrelated group of people. The DEA, being chronically allergic to facts, decided to limit the amount of amphetamines that drug companies in America can buy to make their medication or drugs. Now, it should be pointed out that in America, Americans cannot and never could legally buy controlled...
Miss Steph, do you mean the extensive test is less accurate? Yeah, apparently. I don't know why. Could you explain what ADHD even is? Theoretically, there are parts in your brain and the front of your brain that are a little bit smaller than they're supposed to be. I think up to 13% of a reduction in size in something in the front part of your brain. I don't remember the structure is called. And supposedly I think there's like a theory, I'm using this in 20 quotes, okay, the Jew quotes. There's a theory of regular dopamine levels in a brain, and that if you're below that your brain might seek things to level that out. And so that's the idea behind stimulants, is that it increases the natural level, well, not natural, it increases the level of dopamine available in your brain, which allows you to chill out and not go seeking dopamine as much, is the idea, basically.
Old stimulants like Adderall that were manufactured outside.
I will repeat, though, if you're taking stimulants or if you think you have ADHD or whatever, all the amphetamines should help you do once you're over the, I just started it and I feel high and good. Once you're over that, the only thing an amphetamine should do is just help you focus on things. That's it. It doesn't give you motivation. It won't make you interested in things that you weren't interested in before. It won't make you, want to succeed. It'll just help you like sit and focus more. It's all it should be doing, I think.
And never could legally buy controlled stimulants like Adderall that were manufactured outside of the USA. So while Canada and other countries have had some supply chain related shortages, we are in our own shitty walled garden here in the States. Now, if you want to buy your drugs illegally on the black market, the production, importation, and prominence of prescription stimulants is way, way up right now. And we'll get into that in a little.
You feel high every time you take it? No. But for the first week or two, yeah, definitely, absolutely. And I think if you titrate up, you might a little bit. But yeah, when I very, very first started doing it, probably for the first week, definitely.
A little bit. All right, so everything that I told you in this video so far is not new information. Everybody was getting treatment, then the DEA started being dickheads, and now drug companies can't supply pharmacies, and now patients are not getting treatment, and that leads to an increased risk of death. That's pretty fucked up, right? But there's more to this that I've sussed out. I need to be completely transparent and point out that due to the stuff...
People with ADHD don't feel high the same way someone without ADHD would. I think you can still get high on amphetamines. I still roll hard on MDMA. And the first time I started taking Adderall XR, although to be fair, I started taking it probably at too high of a dose than you'd start with, you definitely would feel high. There is definitely a high feeling, and there's definitely a medicated feeling. I don't know. Yeah. But is this fake background blur? Almost certainly yes.
I need to be completely transparent and point out that due to the stuff I'm about to talk about being difficult to prove substantially by nature or by design, I'm not going to be formally throwing around accusations of corruption or extortion, even though that is precisely what I personally think is happening. Come on. In November of 2023, the DEA administrator released a statement saying, and I quote, "Our data showed that in 2022, manufacturers did not produce the full amount that these limits permitted them to make, resulting in a shortfall of 1 billion doses that could have been produced that were not made or shipped." And the data in 2023 has shown a similar trend. Drug companies are required to let the FDA know if they are experiencing a supply shortage, but they're not required to give a reason to why they're experiencing the shortage. As far as I could find, none of the 17...
You don't have any blood pressure issues taking it? Nope. The last time I got all my labs and everything, my blood was fine. Amphetamines shouldn't be boosting your blood pressure too much. The overall increase is pretty slight. And I'm on a pretty high dose. I think for Vyvanse I'm on 60 milligrams, so...
Stimulant...
But your mileage may vary. But it's not that much of an increase.
Manufacturers experiencing a shortage have provided those details. It has just been assumed that the shortages were due to the DEA quotas.
I always wonder, how does ADHD help you actually focus on things you need to? Couldn't you just end up focused on the things you shouldn't more? No, ADHD should never be helping you focus on things that you need to, unless you're very lucky and the thing that you need to focus on is something that you really enjoy, like when I played StarCraft professionally. That's why I can play StarCraft for 16 hours a day. Also, again, the hyper-focus thing is a bit of a misnomer, I think. It's more just that if you find an activity that rewards you with a steady stream of dopamine, you will become hooked on it because your brain feels like really good doing it, more so than an average person who's generally on okay levels of dopamine, is the theory or whatever. And because anecdotally, I feel it was true. And it was true with Nathan. It's what I used as a dispositive thing when I initially thought he couldn't possibly have ADHD, because when me and Nathan would play Minecraft and stuff, we could sit and play for 7-8 hours. So I was like, there's no way, it doesn't make sense. This is not. But then I did more research. I was like, oh, okay, well.
Find none of the 17 stimulant manufacturers experiencing a shortage have provided those details. It has just been assumed that the shortages were due to the DEA quotas. But why wouldn't they be? Why would a drug company want to have a shortage of such a desperately needed medication that they were selling?
So normal to feel absolutely no change after starting to take 30 milligrams of Vyvanse. My psych prescribed it for treatment-resistant depression, and I felt absolutely nothing. I haven't heard that as a prescription before, but I wouldn't be able to tell you I can't do anything for depression. I don't know. That shit's way more difficult to deal with.
Okay, so like a lot of people with ADHD, I was prescribed Adderall XR, which...
Did you ever enjoy games, or was it purely a thing to keep the ADD in check? No, I definitely enjoyed games, of course. I still like them. Now I just have other things I would rather put my time on, but I don't like regret gaming or anything.
Okay, so like a lot of people with ADHD, I was prescribed Adderall XR, which stands for extended release. And wow, it really helped me. A 30-day supply was $31 without insurance. Not too bad. Uh-oh.
What? My Vyvanse cost me $450 a month. Where's this guy's pharmacy?
Now, like every time I get this prescription filled, there's a delay for a few days, but this one won't be ready for over a month. So I'd better try.
Do you have insurance? No, DGG LLC is not insuring me yet. Okay, this company sucks.
Some more pharmacies.
I was just wondering if you had any Adderall 20 milligrams available.
I need to speak to a pharmacist.
Okay, the pharmacy. Which would you like? Say, refill a prescription.
Speak to
Or press
pharmacist.
1. Sorry.
So what happens is
I think, aren't you supposed to say operator in order to get the operator? How many long release pills do you take a day? 1 or 2? You should only ever take 1 long release per day. Some people will take like a long release early on and then like a short release later on if they need to, but
I call and I stay on hold with this music with nobody answering, and then they just pick up the phone and drop it down because they're tired of hearing it ring, I guess. This is the drug that my doctor chose to prescribe me, and it works great. Unfortunately, no pharmacy that I talk to will have any generic supply of that drug for over a month, and if I want any, I'm going to have to get the name brand, which costs $15.
He's not talking about Vyvanse. You'd know if you were listening. I was listening. I am aware. He said he got prescribed 20 milligrams of Adderall XR. I was joking. Vyvanse is a newer drug. It costs more. I'm aware of that. $30 still sounds very cheap, though. It was called a joke, Seneca. Are you okay? Find somebody and get a hug. Why not sign up with the ACA? Because I'm fucking lazy, okay? And because I don't know when the market's open, and when they do, there's too many plans, and I get decision paralysis, and I don't know if I want the gold one or the silver one or the bronze one or anything, and then I say fuck that, and I don't get anything. Just like with my Ford Focus RS, it's still sitting in the garage. I haven't gotten a new car yet either. I will just die with all my money in my bank account, having spent it on nothing, like the guy that's hoarding potions for the end of the RPG that doesn't even use them on the final boss. That's what I'm doing with my life right now. And then all my money will go to the big cat complex, and Nathan will get nothing because I'm sorry.
Times more. So I talked to my doctor, who switches me to a slightly different type of stimulant called Adzenys.
Have you thought about changing your Vyvanse to a generic Adderall? What's the benefit of Vyvanse compared to Adderall? Vyvanse is supposedly a little better than Adderall. There are generic Vyvanses now, though. I should just get on a generic Vyvanse, probably, but I got so mindfucked reading patient reviews online that I should have just never even looked at. Now I'm like too scared. I should, but fuck me.
Adzenys isn't exactly cloaking their opportunism when it comes to marketing to people who can't get Adderall. When you go to their website, a pop-up literally shoves a dosage comparison chart in your face. It is—
Damn. What made you decide to get a diagnostic prescription? A friend was here. I guess, am I allowed to say Cherry? It was a Cherry, no, never mind. Nobody in particular let me borrow their Adderall for like a week. And then I tried it for a few days. I was high as fucking balls. But then after the high wore off, I was like, oh shit, I can just read shit. And that was the start of the Israel-Palestine arc.
Isn't exactly cloaking their opportunism when it comes to marketing to people who can't get Adderall. When you go to their website, a pop-up literally shoves a dosage comparison chart in your face. It is more expensive, but—
Hold on, wait, I wasn't watching this. I'll back up for a second, hold on. To use Good RX, they always have the phone in front of you to try and find a coupon at CVS or Walgreens, but it doesn't seem like there ever is for Vyvanse. I don't know why. Is it possible to feel absolutely no change after starting 30 milligrams of Vyvanse? It's like I'm impervious to this shit. I don't know. It depends. If you don't have ADHD and you start taking an amphetamine, it's probably just going to make you jittery or make you stay awake longer. It's probably not going to like make you feel much better. Or you might get a little high. Do you find caffeine boosts your Vyvanse effect? A little bit. When I whoa, why do we have red arrows? Hello. What's happening today in the markets? Our CrowdStrike is so close to even, boys. It's coming. It's so close to even. We're up big on our NVIDIA again, though. There's no reason to go generic. I had both prescriptions. Generic is unreliable for stock and almost just as expensive. Shouldn't the generic be significantly cheaper? I would imagine. It should be. Do you feel that it's less effective as time goes on? My Ritalin is not as good as it was in the first months. I want to be very careful, and I don't want to speak for everybody here, okay? But as somebody that has recreationally used amphetamines and as somebody that is now using it as like therapeutic, I would just say that the first like few weeks or maybe even the first month you're on a prescription for an amphetamine, it is incredibly important. You have to sort out the difference between what you're supposed to be getting therapeutically and what's just a really good feeling because you're getting high. And you can't chase the high by titrating up your therapeutic dose. You just have to be very aware of those two things. When you first get a prescription for an amphetamine, especially if you're starting too high, because you're either borrowing from a friend or something, you're going to feel high, okay? You will feel high in a week or for the first like couple weeks or maybe you will feel high and you feel really good. You'll take it. Your mood is going to be awesome. You're going to be so chill and calm and everything's right. But you're probably just high a little bit. Just be aware of that. You don't want to chase that feeling on the drug.
To a slightly different type of stimulant called Adzenys. Adzenys isn't exactly cloaking their opportunism when it comes to marketing to people who can't get Adderall. When you go to their website, a pop-up literally shoves a dosage comparison chart in your...
Okay, what is this? Adzenys XR-ODT is comparable. What is this drug? Is this what the molecule is? Bro, I don't know that much. Jesus. Oh my God, we had the same thing. It's probably not going to be on the fucking website, is it? Or... I wonder what the slow release mechanism is. I don't know. Okay.
Face. It is more expensive, but at you, the manufacturer has this coupon that works with everyone. Literally everyone, even if you don't have insurance.
18 milligrams is a life changer. I declined 3 times, raising the dosage. You're a grabbler. I don't know what grabbler means. I don't know why you would have to decline 3 times, raising the dosage. Your doctor like telling you to do it. Depending on the severity of your ADHD is probably going to determine what your final dosage ends up at. People, I think for Vyvanse, I think you can prescribe as low as, I've heard 5. That sounds ridiculous. Probably anywhere from 10 or 15 up to 70 is the max.
It's this coupon that works with everyone, literally everyone, even if you don't have insurance.
If you have commercial insurance, you'll pay a copay of $50 or as low as $0 for your A2 medications, even if your insurance doesn't cover the medication.
Trying to get it at Kaiser?
No.
Okay, because this is what it's saying you should use Kaiser.
In this case, it's not doing it, which means it could be an issue on their end. I don't know how urgent it is that you get.
I fully feel I'm a smart person, okay? I am smart, okay? I am a sturgeon. I am a smart person. I do not understand anything having to do with hospitals, insurance, medication, or any of this. This shit is way too fucking complicated, okay? The number one overhaul I would be okay with in terms of like medical shit is finding a way to simplify, because I don't know what the fuck, like, I just don't understand any of it. It's so bizarre to me. I remember I used to type in chat even for like doing like labs or tests or whatever, like trying to figure out like I can go to the hospital and do it, and then I always get a bill later, but the bill always gets canceled. Or I can go to like a Walgreens or CVS, and then I pay $300 there to do it, but then I get a bill later on from the lab that analyzes it. Are these supposed to be two separate fees? But like everything is, and then for like, and then that's not even, I've never even had insurance before. But for my friends with insurance, it's like, well, I have to find something that's in network versus out of network, or as long as it's like an off label versus on label, or they can prescribe me this medication as long as I get like the generic version, and as long as they give me this diagnosis. And holy fucking AIDS. Actual AIDS. The strongest argument you can make for single payer, not even for public option, but for single payer, would just be to streamline the fuck out of all this AIDS cancer shit. If I actually had like a condition where I needed like life-saving medication or some shit, and I was getting tossed around, actually I guess I'm lucky too, because I've just never had a problem grabbing my Vyvanse from this pharmacy. But if I started to run into problems, I would black market this shit immediately. This is ass cancer. My God.
No.
Okay, because this is what it's saying you should use Kaiser.
In this case, it's not doing it, which means it could be an issue on their end. I don't know how urgent it is that you get this.
Turns out that my insurance will not cover it if I buy it at Kroger. And it turns out that Kroger won't accept the coupon. So I call my doctor and I get it moved to CVS so my insurance will cover it, and CVS needs a few days to order it.
We are ordering it for you. And also insurance wouldn't pay for it.
Wait, I'm sorry, what? The insurance wouldn't pay for it? Turns out my insurance won't work for this particular drug at CVS and requires me to get it transferred to a pharmacy inside a hospital owned and run by my insurance, which doesn't carry the drug at all or have any available prescribers for mental health. So we have to waste even more of my doctor's time and get it transferred to the manufacturer's recommended pharmacy, which is a tiny building in a small town about 45 minutes away that, yeah. What do you know? The CBD pharmacy doesn't have Adzenys in stock, and the person I spoke to wasn't aware of this discount program or any affiliation with the manufacturer. Do you accept the RX Connect coupon?
We don't.
We haven't heard of that, but you put in our system. It usually give you like the numbers that we can load into the system.
Okay. Wait, okay. This is also nothing we do today, and that's why it's going to be boring. What is going on here right now? I'm looking at my streaming box. My 3D render is the same. The copy is at 1%. Video encode and decode is at 0%. How is it at 0%? Shouldn't it be using my graphics card to encode if I have it on AV1? My CPU stuff is not being weird. Wait, where the fuck do I even see my video encoder output? Oh yeah, it's AOM AV1. Is that correct? Check processes and see what's eating your bandwidth. It's not about anything eating my bandwidth. It's about this being. So I don't know what's happening right now. I have to use the other AV1. Does that matter? Let me check. Okay, I'll switch encoders. Let me restart my stream 1 sec. Fuck. Did I make it back? Or did my stream turn off and I have to do a whole new thing? Hello? Huh. Okay, well, the internet problems went away when I turned my stream off. But, okay, I tried using the other encoder, and it said it doesn't work. Which video encoder? AV1. But now I'm actually curious. I've never looked at this menu before. This is what my... This is what this menu looks like. Should the video encode be at 0%? Shouldn't it be doing something? Or what is this all happening on the CPU somehow, even though I have an AV1 selected? I tried that SVT AV1 thing, but the SVT AV1 didn't work. I pushed start and then it said no response from encoder or something, and then nothing happened. I'm using the AOM AV1. What does that mean? AOM AV1. Does this like encode on the CPU somehow? Is this like a software encoder? AOM AV. Oh my god! So I haven't even been using the right encoder. There's no point in even having this GPU right now. That would make sense. I guess that's why my CPU usage is at 40%. Huh. Oh shit! And I'm lagging again. You know what? I got nothing better to do with my time right now. So. Use NVENC? I thought the whole reason for getting this 4000 series card was to start using the AV1 encoder on it. NERV, you're correct. NVENC has AV1? Okay, whatever. All right, I'm going to restart one time, 1 sec. Okay, are we live? I can't use any of those hardware encoders, but I wonder if I didn't install graphics card drivers for my on my new computer. I just assumed Windows would grab them automatically. Hold on. Oh no, it's DXDiag, right? So it's just sitting there doing jack shit? Yeah, basically. This $1,000, $2,000, how much did this cost? This GPU I got is just doing nothing, I guess. Because I just retarded. Drivers. Date. March 27th, 2023. Based. Why would Windows not automatically grab drivers for fucking NVIDIA GPUs? I feel like this would be the easiest thing in the world. Can you let me use your GPU to make AI porn when you're not streaming? Sure thing, bud. God damn, I had to figure out this stupid fucking program last night. What was this? iPerf? I could send like 100 megabytes of data, like 900 megabits per second. I could do this transfer for like minutes and there'd be no drops at all. So it's, whatever's happening, it's happening on like, it's got to do with the GPU or some software issue. It's not like my Switch is fine and my NICs seem to be fine. So it might actually just be this. Maybe yeah. Good one. Okay, here, go back to this for a bit.
No, the CBD pharmacy doesn't have Adzenys in stock, and the person I spoke to wasn't aware of this discount program or any affiliation with the manufacturer.
Do you accept the RX Connect coupon?
Your camera will be fine. It's just the YouTube videos. I know you keep saying that. Yes, that's because that's coming from this computer and that's coming from this computer. Yes, I am aware of this. Yes. The only issue, the only stuff that's ever lagging is this. It's this, whatever's coming from here. That's the only stuff that's lagging. I'm aware. I know. Yes, that's correct. Have you watched the new Every Frame a Painting video yet? What? What processor did I got? Oh, I got a 9950X. Wait, is he back? Oh my god. We'll watch after.
We don't.
We haven't heard of that, that you put in our system. It used to give you like the numbers that we can load into the system. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the manufacturer, I'm sorry.
Our medications work, won't break the bank, and aren't a hassle to get.
Yeah.
In fact,
I like it when you're at stores and sometimes the people behind the counter will just be asking, like, sometimes employees treat you like you're a fucking retard, like you don't know anything. And then other times they ask you these like impossible questions. Like, you'll be like, hey, I'm here trying to pick up my prescription. Like, oh, do you know if the manufacturer has made available to our like up the chain supply retailer yet? In the district of how the fuck would I ever possibly know the answer to this question? Why the fuck are you just thinking out loud right now? Does anybody in the store know the answer to this question? Why would you expect me to know this? I don't know why or what or holy shit. Sorry.
Medications work, won't break the bank, and aren't a hassle to get.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. We have good job, Yumi. Okay, this is a Quadro card, right? RTX 4000 SFF ADA generation. What's so quad about it? What does Quadro even mean? It has 4 something? Okay, sorry.
In fact, every single pharmacy that
all-wheel drive
I visited told me to contact the manufacturer at Biopharma. And can you believe it? The drug manufacturer doesn't answer their phone. But I did notice that they had a big Q&A live stream coming up, but unfortunately it appeared to only be for investors. So I called my financial advisor and we managed to scrounge up some capital to buy myself some equity in the company. And it was the best $2.49 I have ever spent. And I am so excited to meet the CEO as a new part owner of this business venture we have together.
Ultimately, we made the critical decision, and starting a couple of years ago, that we are going to wind down any operation that we don't believe can drive near-term shareholder value. And ultimately what that has netted us is an opportunity to become exquisitely focused over the last 12 months, specifically looking at the prescription business.
Can I be the CEO of one of those companies? CEO? Dude, I can do these speeches so well. We have identified a lot of cash flow positive opportunities for us. We've decided to pull back on scaling from operations that we felt weren't delivering the type of shareholder value that we think is consistent with what we try to give to you guys as supporters of the company. And in the future, we are going to be investing in things that we know are going to help us down the road. It might be a little bit bumpy ahead, but yes, give me that corpo speak.
Most notably attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. We've had tremendous revenue growth in specifically looking at the RX segment.
Now, it would be hyperbolic and maybe a little bit of a stretch for me to say that ATU Pharmaceuticals is intentionally taking advantage of the drug shortage.
Wait, is that what we were supposed to get from that? Wait, hold on, I'm sorry. Let me listen more closely.
Part owner of this business venture we have together.
Ultimately, we made the critical decision, starting a couple of years ago, that we are going to wind down any operation that we don't believe can drive near-term shareholder value. And ultimately what that has netted us is an opportunity to become exquisitely focused over the last 12 months, specifically looking at the prescription business, most notably attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. We've had tremendous revenue growth in specifically looking at the RX segment.
Now, it would be hyperbolic and maybe a little bit of a stretch for me to say that ATU Pharmaceuticals is intentionally taking advantage of the drug shortage.
And we're taking advantage still to this day of the fact that Adderall, Concerta, Ritalin, Ritalin. These products have been intermittently in and out of supply for various reasons.
Okay, but it's not like they're somehow connected to...
Well, hold on. No, don't hold on. Don't make me doubt you. Nothing that he said so far implies what you're implying, which is that they're causing a drug shortage. If anything, what he's saying should mean that they're trying to they're trying to enter the market where these other drugs aren't being manufactured so that they can like meet some kind of demand, right?
Been intermittently in and out of supply for various reasons.
Okay, but it's not like they're somehow connected to a generic Adderall manufacturer other than the private settlement agreement that they entered into with the world's largest generic.
Okay.
Adderall manufacturer. Every single path that I navigate down in this maze always leads me to having to pay a bill like this at the pharmacy counter. And this is not Adderall, by the way. It may not even work for me. So then I could try this one or this one. It's not exactly difficult to understand why drug manufacturers might not be tripping over themselves to make generics widely available again. It is a business after all, and just because patients are 19% more likely to die as a result of our little drug shortage doesn't mean that y'all have the right to take 10% more likely to die.
Actually, if you lower risk by 19%, that doesn't mean the number that you came from was 19% higher. It would actually be a bit higher, no? Like if you lowered something by 50%, then the chance of you dying it would be 100% higher. So he's understating that. He should be saying it higher, I think.
As a result of our little drug shortage doesn't mean that y'all have the right to take it out on us shareholders. You smell that? It's opportunity. Incedo MedFinder is an ethical startup with the mission of giving everyone access to the medication that they need, unless they can't afford to pay $50 to hire somebody to call a bunch of pharmacies every single time that they...
$50 per search. Bro, what the fuck? What? What is it doing? Just trying to find a pharmacy with an available medication? Or I don't even know what the fuck you're paying for here. Holy AIDS.
That they need, unless they can't afford to pay $50 to hire somebody to call a bunch of pharmacies every single time that they have a prescription that needs filling. Then they could go f themselves. An even newer one is Needle. You can pay just $1 per pharmacy called, or you could buy 50 pharmacy call credits for a $35 monthly subscription. As in, subscribe to a fucking online service that only exists to find medication that your tax dollars pay to make scarce. I hope everybody burns to death in a fucking fire. I found out about Needle because they market themselves by responding to people complaining about their struggle in finding ADHD meds on X and Reddit and TikTok. Oh, and if you're on TikTok, you can definitely expect to find a bunch of dickheads telling you that whatever supplement their multi-level marketing scheme sells works as a replacement to your ADHD medication.
Bad news, guys. The Adderall shortage, there's no end in sight.
Just take lion's mane and it'll fix all your problems. Yes. All right. I don't know if this is going to kill my computer if I upgrade my graphics card drivers while I'm streaming, so good luck.
This bullshit is exactly why I switched to something else. I decided to take a step into 2050 and go for something new. And it f***ing works. The cognitive function, off the charts.
Is alpha GPC actually an Adderall alternative? Let's get into it.
God, this works amazing. And I'm not gonna gatekeep because I know that there's millions of you guys out there who also cannot get their prescription. The name of the product is 4-Sigmatic, guys.
An orange shopping cart at the bottom left of this. You need to hurry and get it. They're gonna sell out.
And if that menagerie of excellent solutions is not enough for you, you could just mention your medication problems on X, which will summon an army of Twitter bots recommending you to send crypto to some Nigerian guy on Telegram. I don't need to tell you that these are obviously scams, do I? None of these people are going to actually send you any form of effective ADHD medication.
You don't know that. Have you tried them all?
You will have to go to the dark web for that. Now, this isn't as easy as it sounds. You can't just log onto the dark web and find an Adderall. Jesus! So Dread is like the Reddit of the dark web. It has...
Damn, you're just full on advertising this shit, dog. What the fuck? We're not going to be able to get our shit here if you show all the normies.
Jesus. So Dread is like the Reddit of the dark web. It has, I'm pretty certain it has over 1 million users.
Actually, I don't know anything. Hold on. I just realized that came up as an endorsement. I've never used this before. I don't know what the fuck this is. So don't, if you're using this thinking that I think it's good, I have no idea. Wow. Hello, hello. Oh my God. Look at that. 10% CPU usage. My graphics card is actually doing something. Wow. What a wild ride. Okay. Why are you getting no signal? What about 3? What about 2? What about 4? What about... What was the issue? I didn't install any graphics card drivers. I thought Windows grabbed them automatically. But now I have them installed, so my graphics card does stuff now. Wait, why is this not... Hello? Device manager. Why is this not working? Did something get unplugged? Hold on. That wouldn't make any sense. Do you think, well, this device I did install drivers for. When did you first start using a webcam? I don't fucking know. Let's see. Elgato. Cam Link Pro drivers. Is that what I use? Elgato Cam Link Pro. Elgato Cam Link Pro. Yes. I'm like 99% sure I installed these drivers, but I don't know why this would stop working. Oh yeah, it is already installed. Oh shit. Why would it not detect my PCI Express card? Huh. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna restart my computer 1 sec. Okay, then we're done. 1 sec. I think, oh wait, maybe it's just OBS. Maybe? Hold on. Okay, I have absolutely no idea why this isn't doing anything, so fuck that. I'll look at it after stream. Okay, 4 minutes left on this video. We're finishing this.
Actually illegally buy my exact prescribed medication for less money than what the alternative is costing me. And it didn't actually arrive quicker to my mailbox than it takes the pharmacy to stock it. Now, if these pills were real and not a 3D animated asset that I put in post-production, I would not be taking them for a very obvious reason. It could be laced with something. It could be entirely made.
Plug it into the other computer. No, bro, it's a PCI Express card. I would have to open this computer. I'd have to unplug it. I'd have to open the other computer, plug it into the motherboard, unscrew. Fuck all that shit.
Made up of methamphetamine. It could be fentanyl and literally kill me. This danger is not something that the DEA made up or a paranoid delusion in my head. I know that this is a serious risk because tragically it is happening to real young people who are resorting to buying their ADHD medication on the black market. And the reaction and response to these tragic deaths is Congressman Dave Joyce's Stop the Pills That Kill Act, which finally takes a hard look at the glaring problem of counterfeit medication being easier to obtain than actual prescribed medication. And the solution to this problem, to make sure that it never happens again, proposed by our competent, esteemed lawmakers in Congress, was obviously to give law enforcement more power and money to catch and punish the people who are selling these pills outside of where our law enforcement has any jurisdiction. Yeah, brilliant. That'll work. Great job. I wish that I had a solution that I could share with you. I do not. And from what I can gather, the DEA analyzes their quotas very seldomly, and it appears that they won't even consider increasing amphetamine allotments for manufacturers until December of 2025. It's safe to say that there's no end in sight. And the official stance of the government and a lot of drug companies is go f yourself. Listen up, I'm gonna be very real with you. This goes without saying, but it's really dangerous and stupid to pay for or take pills that you're not obtaining legally. There's tons of incentive for them to contain different cheap...
What I would say is, like, because the law is never exact, and we'll get in later to the definition of what a person is.
Okay.
Because that'll come up. The law is never exact. So the court has to, they may be following good law, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So my example for this, which I think many lawyers would agree with, is Wickard v. Filburn and Gonzalez v. Raich. Those were cases where the Commerce Clause was extended to cover first somebody growing wheat for their own consumption was considered an act of interstate commerce, and in Raich it was somebody growing for their own consumption was considered an act of interstate commerce.
Okay.
Well, the Interstate Commerce Clause of the Constitution is obviously a good and necessary part of the Constitution. I would argue those were bad decisions made under that law.
Okay.
They didn't change, literally, the Commerce Clause, but the way they applied it, I would argue, was poor.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. This one I think you might fight me on. The president.
Well, on the last one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, without getting into more examples, first let me restate what you've said. Because it seems like you were talking about two things that are a little bit disconnected. So one is you say that the law is never exact, right? I think we agree with that. A law can't cover every single circumstance, for sure. And then you say that you bring up two decisions that were made with the Commerce Clause of the Constitution being cited, but you feel like the Commerce Clause was used in a way that was improper. Can you explain that a little bit more?
I would say it was used because the law is broad. It can be interpreted one of two ways.
Okay.
I don't like the way it was interpreted, so I would consider it bad.
Okay.